Hello all, how are you? Hope you are in good conditions and healthy. So, hello once again. Welcome to another review of a great book which will be started momentarily. By the way, we are executive MBA student from IPMI International Business Schools, class of September 2021. We are from the Revolutionary Six group, and we are doing this book review for our global economy and international business class led by our Professor Roy Sembel and Professor Ibu Yulita Susanti. Before we start, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to our channel. Okay?
Hi Jess, beautiful morning, right?
Right. Have you had your coffee?
I have actually. Hey, by the way, have you heard about this book, Capitalist Realism?
I do. Capitalist Realism, is there no alternative? The author was Mark Fisher. It was published in 2009. Whether you're a capitalist, anti-capitalist, or someone who's undecided in terms of your positioning, I'm sure you'll find this book very interesting and very intriguing.
I see. You know what? Actually, the author, Mark Fisher, he's, a pretty famous blogger by the name of K-Punk. So he's also an English writer, music critic, but he's also a teacher at the University of London.
I see.
He's also, pretty successful pop culture writer. So, but he died in 2017 because of the mental health.
Oh, that is very sad. I didn't know that the author ended up like that.
I know. But anyway, what do you think is capitalist realism according to this book?
To refer to your question earlier about the capitalist realism, what I think is that it is a brutal dystopia that exists in our cultural environment at the moment. It exists in movies, it exists in novels. They serve to justify our increasing alienation and our increasingly competitive context. It is loosely defined as the predominant conception that capitalism is the only viable in the political and economic system. It's very hard to imagine there is a coherent alternative to it. If you can imagine previously, for those people who lives in the Cold War era and the dissolution of the Soviet Union, probably similar to what we experience in our era right now during the Russia and Ukraine war, they probably pretty know that the feeling is quite intimate, that capitalism won and the socialism actually failed. So talking about that, what do you think about this this topic, Maya?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, I guess. I think capitalist realism is not a particular type of realism. So it is actually realism where it's resolve our personal worth into exchange value. In other words, our existence is evaluated in terms of money alone, and it's seen like an idea. You know what? I think I remember you were telling me that Fisher states that the world actually is falling apart. So we are witnessing this dying of culture, and everyone in this era is witnessing the end of contemporary capitalism. So actually, this concept promotes privatization, and also the neoliberal capitalism is seen as the only way. What do you think?
It's what you said actually makes sense, and it's quite interesting actually. So I can't wait to read more about what is on the book.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Yes, Pa Andreas, you know that throughout the book, Fisher tries to picture that the feeling isn't just located to the art or political speech, but to the entire atmosphere around us, influencing our thoughts and our action, our political and pop culture, and even relation between humans.
Oh yeah, remember that movie, Bu? The Disney animation movie? Oh, Wall-E, Wall-E.
Oh, yes, the
Yeah,
Wall-E.
yeah. So this is a story about the Earth, but not too far in the future. But the Earth has been spoiled by capitalism, yeah, to the point where it is no longer habitable by humans. So humans has to take spaceship, they have to travel and find another habitable planet. And throughout the spaceship, the humans are portrayed as obese, they are immobilized, and they are obsessed with technology. Everywhere they go, there's a big screen following them around, telling them what to do. And in a way, this is almost like a real reflection of our society right now. This is a true satire of our society. So instead of the audience feeling insulted or feeling sorry for themselves, Fisher remarked that this movie actually trying to generate an interpassivity within us. So we can perform some sort of anti-pacifism and to remind us not to consume with impunity.
Yes, and from the other example is Live Aid.
Oh, the concert.
Yeah, the book said that concert charity insisted that caring individual alone could fix world famine by having corporation donate a portion of the profit to help the cause. And the book say while the goal for the people is to end global inequality and steer away from capitalism evil, at the end their consumerism to be companies to help this goal fits into capitalist realism.
Oh yeah, so I think whether we realize it or not, every one of us, we contribute to this capitalism and we contribute freely. Yeah, so in a way we may feel guilty and we try to justify our action. We do some donation, we plant some trees, but yeah, it is inevitable that we, in a way, we always, being part of this capitalism.
Okay, Andrias, I think war, famine, and poverty are caused by capitalism. Sometimes people want to fix about the portrait about the naive and utopian.
Yeah. It is perceived in capitalism, realism that we seem to have infinite number of resources to sustain this planet. Yeah. Oftentimes it's due to false marketing or advertising or just greed for money. Yeah. However, this is not the reality because what's going on is we have issues like climate change, we have issues like resource depletion, and these issues are coming in our lifetime.
So Fisher introduces the concept of reflexive impotence, which has become an unspoken worldview among today's youth. He discovered that many teenagers suffers from mental health issues, learning challenges, and depression. It's very depressing actually to hear about that. But many of the students that he encountered appeared to be suffering from depression hedonia, or the incapacity to do anything other than chasing pleasure. There is a persistent sense that something is missing, but there's no recognition that this is enigmatic. Missing satisfaction can only be accessible outside of the pleasure principles. Even when you ask most A-level students to read for more than few sentences, they will claim that they can't do it. Even the most common complaints to the teacher, they say that it's very boring. And the glitch in the education system, combined with the lack of effective disciplinary system, has not been compensated by an increase in student self-motivation.
You know, Andreas, everywhere we go today, we hear that we live in the VUCA era. So basically, we are living in an unprecedented rate of instability, meaning we have to be more flexible than ever. But speaking of flexibility, I think there are changes happening in the workforce where everything is, more casual. There are more outsourced and more temporary workers. So I think in this case, what's worse is, it's really impossible to separate work and life. So everywhere we go, whatever that we dream, capital is following us. So time is ceased to become linear and it's really chaotic. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, Mai. It sounds depressing, yeah? And so our life now is becoming like a component of a just-in-time production. So we live in a time or in a condition where there's a total instability. A lot of us these days, we live like a series of short-term jobs. We cannot plan for the future properly. It's a bit sad, but during the 2008 credit crisis, there were talks that, capitalism might be the end, that it's collapsing soon. But that's not the case. Yeah? And Fisher, he predicted that when the time comes, the blame will be on the actors instead of the system. But during the judgment day, when the time to punish these people, they will say that actually it is the system that fails them. So nobody is actually taking the blame. So it's unthinkable.
Jameson quote that we are living through an extraordinary rate of change in all levels of social life. It would not come as a surprise if this instability resulted in a craving for familiar cultural forms. The long darkness of the end of history has to be grasped as an enormous opportunity. The tennis even can tear a hole in the grey curtain of the reaction, which has marked the horizon of possibility under capitalist realism. From a situation in which nothing can happen, suddenly anything is possible again.
So we have arrived in the conclusion section. So if you are someone who is worried about this growing social precarity and you feel stuck because of the way the world works, Fisher thinks that the goal should not be to take over the state, but to subordinate the state to the general will. This means relying the concept of general will and expanding the idea of public space, which will be used not for individual interests. It's easy to look at capital realism and to be disheartened and discouraged. It's easy to see a cycle of spectacle after spectacle and to hate it furiously, especially if you are detained by capitalism. But the book closing paragraph above say there is a hope that innovation are already great and in time it will fight against capital realism. So we already in the end of this book review. So guys and ladies and gentlemen, please, what do you think about this book? And don't forget to comment and share your thought with us. Thank you for listening to this book review. Revolutionary 6 sign out. Bye bye.
Aku